Oregon, 1931. The forest always watched. That's what Lily believed. She was only 13, but old enough to know when eyes were on her, even if they were made of bark and shadow. The Douglas firs swayed gently in the wind, and somewhere in that hush of movement, she could feel it, something ancient, hungry, waiting. She stood barefoot on the back porch, her long red braid swinging behind her as she stared into the gloom beyond the tree-line. The sun was just starting to dip, and the forest darkened like ink spilled on parchment. Her twin brother Sam sat cross-legged in the dirt, carving lines into the dust with a stick. "I saw her again," Lily said quietly. Sam didn't look up. "Who?" "The woman in white. By the trees. She had bones around her neck." Sam's stick paused. He glanced toward the forest, lips tightening. "You didn't." "I did." Her eyes were black. Like two holes. He stood up, brushing dirt from his overalls. "It's just your imagination. Or maybe it's Ida May again, sneaking around. You know she likes to scare us." Lily shook her head. "It wasn't Ida. She doesn't float." Sam didn't answer. Because he knew. Their father, Malcolm, always told them not to go into the woods after dark. Not because of wolves or bears, those were manageable. It was the other things. The things that didn't bleed. The things that whispered your name in voices that weren't quite right. Their mother, Eleanor, had whispered once too, just before she died. One night in the dead of winter, she screamed into the wind and vanished from her bed. Malcolm found her body the next morning, face frozen in terror, bones twisted unnaturally. No one ever said what really happened. But Lily remembered the marks. Not from the cold. Not from a fall. Deep, claw-like carvings along her legs, her chest, her throat. She looked flayed. Hollowed out. "She's still here," Lily whispered. "She never left." Sam sighed and gestured toward the door. "Come inside. It's getting dark." They stepped inside the creaking homestead. The wood stove hummed low. Their father sat in the corner, hunched over a half-finished violin, his weathered fingers working the wood like he was coaxing music from it already. "You kids wash up," he muttered. "Dinner's soon." Lily noticed his eyes, sunken deeper than last week. Shadows under his lids, the whites jaundiced. He was thinning too, like something gnawed at him from the inside. They did as told. After dinner, cold stew and dry bread, they washed dishes in silence. Malcolm went out to the barn with a lantern, muttering something about a loose beam. That was when Lily heard it again. The knock. 3 soft raps on the floorboards. From the cellar. Sam froze beside her, the soapy plate slipping from his hands into the basin with a splash. "Did you?" Lily nodded, face pale. The cellar door sat beneath the rug in the pantry. It had always been locked. Always. Their father warned them, "Don't go down there. That's where things rot." That's where things rot. That's where memories die. Tonight, the lock was gone. No rusted padlock. No chain. Just the square wooden hatch, slightly ajar. "Are we really doing this?" Sam whispered. Lily nodded. "We need to know what's down there." They pried it open, the hinges shrieking like something protesting from below. The smell hit them first, mildew, old wood, and something else, metallic. Rotting. Like dried blood. They descended the narrow wooden stairs, holding an oil lamp Sam snagged from the kitchen. Shadows slithered on the stone walls. A chill wrapped around them, colder than outside, even in the dead of summer. "God," Sam whispered, shining the lamp around. It was no ordinary cellar. There were symbols on the walls, runes carved into stone, pulsing faintly. Shelves filled with jars of dried herbs, bones, and something that looked disturbingly like preserved human fingers. A faded mirror leaned against the far wall, cracked right through the center. And on the table, wrapped in what looked like deer hide, sat a book. Lily moved toward it, drawn like a moth to flame. She touched the cover. It was warm. Too warm. "I don't think we should," Sam started. Lily opened it. The pages were aged and brittle, filled with jagged writing neither of them could read. But there were drawings, etched in black ink. Circles of stones. Creatures with bone crowns. A woman in white robes with a crown of antlers and skulls on her head. And beneath it all, one phrase repeated in different symbols. Drottning Benegrinden. Queen of Bones. Lily touched the page. The lamp flickered. The walls seemed to pulse. Something deep beneath the house groaned. They slammed the book shut and ran back up the stairs, sealing the hatch behind them. The air upstairs felt heavier. Charged. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. Not because of the whispers from the woods. Not even because of the echo of the woman's black eyes. It was the dream. She stood in the forest, barefoot and freezing. Trees loomed like watchers. Her mother stood ahead, face half-eaten by rot, eyes hollow, voice dry as wind. "You opened the gate." Behind her, a woman emerged, taller than any human, dressed in a robe of tattered flesh and bone. Her crown was made from a ring of infant skulls. Her mouth was a jagged, stretching grin that reached from ear to ear. Her voice was a wet rattle. "I am coming." Lily screamed and woke choking on air, drenched in sweat. Down the hall, Sam screamed too. The next morning, their father was waiting. His eyes were bloodshot, face hard. "What did you do?" he said. "No, good morning. No coffee. Just accusation." "We found the book," Lily said quietly. "In the cellar." Malcolm's face drained of color. "You opened it?" They nodded. He sat down, trembling, clutching his forehead. "You shouldn't have." "What is it?" Sam asked. "Who's the Queen of Bones?" Silence. Then, from the kitchen doorway, a new voice answered. "She's the first curse. The mother of decay. The one who lives between the trees." It was Ida May, an old woman with eyes like clouded glass and fingers that always seemed stained red. She lived 3 miles away and came by when Malcolm needed help tuning his violins or burying bad memories. "You need to tell them," she said to Malcolm. "You can't hide it anymore." Lily stepped forward. "Did she kill our mother?" Another silence. Malcolm's hands clenched into fists. "Not exactly," he muttered. "But she wanted her." "She still does," Ida added. "And now she wants you both." Lily felt her heart hammering. "Why?" Ida leaned in, voice like gravel on stone. "Because your mother stole something from her. A promise. And she don't like being denied." Sam's voice was a whisper. "What kind of promise?" Malcolm stood. "Enough." "No." Lily shouted. "We deserve to know. What really happened that night?" Malcolm's jaw tightened. Ida's eyes locked on Lily. "There are things in these woods older than names. The Queen is one of them. She offers gifts. Music. Power. Beauty. But always at a price. Our mother was a witch." Sam asked, stunned. "She was chosen," Ida corrected. "She tried to break the pact. Ran from it. But the Queen never forgets." Lily trembled. "Then why are we still alive?" Malcolm swallowed. "Because I struck a new deal. For your safety. I sealed her with that book. Locked it away. As long as it stayed closed, she remained sleeping." Sam's voice broke. "And now?" Malcolm looked at the floor, ashamed. She's waking. Outside, the wind howled. And from the forest, something laughed, a sound like bones scraping together, rising in the dusk air. Lily looked at Sam. For the first time, he didn't say she was imagining things. Because now they both heard it. The Queen was real. And she was no longer just watching. She was coming. The next morning, the wind howled like a dying animal. Branches clawed the roof. Crows screamed across the sky. And somewhere deep in the forest, the trees stood too still, like something had told them to listen. Lily and Sam sat at the kitchen table, their breakfast untouched. The air felt thick, as though the house itself was holding its breath. Ida May stood in the corner, smoking a crooked, hand-rolled cigarette. The smoke curled up like fingers. "Tell us everything," Lily said finally. "No more riddles." Malcolm sighed. His eyes were dull and glassy, the same way they looked the day after Eleanor died. "It started before you were born," he said. "Long before." Ida sat beside him and spoke in his silence. "In these woods," she rasped, "there's a place where the veil between worlds is thin. Where the dead speak and the living are forgotten. It's called the Bone Circle." Lily frowned. "Like the one drawn in the book?" Ida nodded slowly. "The Queen lives beneath it. Bound by runes. Worshipped in whispers. Feared in every breath taken too deep after dark." Sam leaned forward. "Our mother was part of it. She went there," Malcolm said softly, voice barely above a whisper. "She was drawn to it. Obsessed. She thought she could use the Queen's power to heal." "Heal what?" Lily asked. "Me," he admitted. "I was sick. My hands wouldn't work. Couldn't carve anymore. She wanted to save me, so she made a deal." Ida lit another cigarette. "But deals with the Queen are never what they seem. You ask for beauty, she gives you madness. Ask for love, and she gives you obsession. Ask for life. She gives you death," Lily finished, her voice trembling. Malcolm nodded. "Your mother changed after she came back. She said the Queen whispered to her every night. Said she saw her reflection in the mirror, but her eyes weren't her own. And when she tried to break the bond, tried to unbind the spell. She was taken," Ida said flatly. "But not all at once. The Queen is cruel. She wants you to rot slow." Sam stood, face pale. "So what do we do now?" "We open the book. She's waking. Can't we burn it?" "No," Ida snapped. "That would only free her faster. The runes in that book keep her sealed. But the bond is fragile now. If you want to stop her." Lily leaned in. "We have to go to the Bone Circle." A silence fell over the room like ash. "No," Malcolm said quickly. "Absolutely not. We have to," Lily insisted. "If we understand it, see it, we might find a way to stop her. Before she..." A crash. The windows all rattled at once, a terrible wind surging through the house. The front door flung open with a bang. The fire went out. And on the threshold stood a figure. She wore a white shroud, wet and clinging. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Her mouth was sewn shut with black thread, but her eyes were nothing but black voids. Antlers jutted from her skull like twisted branches. Lily couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. The figure pointed to her. To both of them. Then vanished. No footsteps. No whisper. Just cold air and the lingering stench of death. Malcolm bolted the door and turned, pale as snow. "You have 2 days," he said. "Before she takes you both." "Then we leave now," Sam said. The forest swallowed them. Lily, Sam, and Ida May trekked through the thick underbrush, branches scraping skin, thorns tugging at their clothes. The sky was an ugly gray, the kind of color that made the world feel sick. They didn't speak much. Ida led the way, muttering words in Icelandic, tracing symbols into the bark of trees as they passed. She wore a necklace made of bone fragments, each carved with runes, and a pouch around her neck that reeked of herbs and something fouler. "How far is it?" Sam asked. "Far enough," Ida answered. "And too close." After 2 hours, they reached a clearing. And there it was. The bone circle. It was just as the book had shown, a ring of stones, each one marked with deep, weathered runes. Bones. Human and animal, were tied to tall stakes driven into the earth. Some hung from trees above, swaying in the wind like wind chimes made by demons. Lily's breath hitched. The trees here were silent. No birds. No crickets. Even the wind had stopped. She stepped toward the circle, and Ida yanked her back. "You cross that line, you become hers." Lily pointed to the center. "What's that?" A stone altar sat at the middle of the ring, stained dark with something long dried. And on top of it, a skull, small, human, with runes carved into its forehead. "That's her mouthpiece," Ida whispered. "Where she speaks when she wants to be heard." Sam stared at it. "So, what do we do?" "We seal the bond again. With blood." Ida pulled a rusted blade from her pouch and sliced her palm. She let the blood drip onto the ground just outside the circle, chanting under her breath. But then the wind picked up. And the bones began to move. Rattling. Clicking. Like teeth chattering. The shadows deepened. A low hum filled the clearing. And then. Laughter. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. A wheezing, bone-dry cackle that made the trees tremble. The skull on the altar moved, slowly turning toward them. Its jaw unhinged. A voice poured out like smoke. "You opened the gate, now come inside." Lily screamed. The earth split open within the circle. A hand reached out, long, skeletal, wrapped in decayed flesh. It clawed at the altar, pulling something out from the pit. She was tall. Twisted. Her white robe dragged behind her like a wedding dress soaked in filth. Her eyes were pits. Her smile too wide. Bones stuck out from her back like wings. The Queen of Bones. Sam grabbed Lily's arm, dragging her backward as the thing stepped through the veil. Ida flung a pouch of ash into the air, chanting desperately. The Queen screeched, a sound like glass shattering, and the shadows recoiled. "She's not whole yet." Ida screamed. "She needs your blood to fully awaken. She's after us." Sam cried. "Run!" They bolted through the woods, the Queen's howl following close behind. Trees bent in her wake. Shadows lunged. The forest itself turned against them, roots snaring their ankles, branches clawing at their faces. Lily stumbled. Sam caught her. "Come on." Behind them, a figure burst from the dark. But it wasn't the Queen. It was Malcolm. He held a burning torch in one hand and a violin in the other. "Get behind me," he shouted. The Queen stopped at the edge of the clearing, shrieking. Malcolm raised the violin and began to play. The melody was strange, discordant and eerie, yet beautiful. The air shimmered around him. The trees seemed to bow. And the Queen. She screamed and withdrew, smoke pouring from her mouth, her bones rattling as if they would fly apart. She vanished into the trees. The music stopped. Malcolm dropped to his knees, gasping. You used it," Ida said, kneeling beside him. "The blood-tuned violin." He nodded weakly. "Carved it from her altar wood. Strung it with Eleanor's hair. It's the only thing she fears." Lily stared at him, tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell us?" He looked at her, pain deep in his eyes. Because I made the same mistake your mother did. I thought I could cheat the queen. I thought love was stronger than death. I was wrong. The forest began to grow quiet again. But Lily knew it wasn't over. Not yet. She'll come again, Ida said, standing. At the blood moon. That's when she's strongest. Sam looked up. When is that? Ida didn't need to answer. The clouds parted just enough to reveal a pale red orb rising over the trees. Tonight. The blood moon rose like an open wound in the sky. It hung low and swollen, bathing the forest in a dim, red glow that turned every shadow into something alive. Every branch looked like a twisted limb, every gust of wind like a whisper trying to find its voice. Inside the homestead, the world felt like it was holding its breath. Lily sat at the edge of her bed, hands clenched around a silver pendant that had once belonged to her mother. It had no inscription, no real worth, but she clutched it like it might keep her heart from tearing through her chest. Sam paced across the room, glancing at the boarded-up windows every few seconds. She's not just going to wait, is she? He said. No, Lily replied. She's already here. Malcolm and Ida were downstairs. Preparing. Warding. Drawing symbols in ash and chalk on every threshold, every window, every wall. The violin, the one Malcolm had carved from altar wood, sat in the center of the room, its strings humming softly though no one played it. She wants a sacrifice, Lily whispered. Sam froze. What do you mean? She told me in my dream last night. I was in the woods. The altar was bleeding. She said, give me what I was promised, and I will sleep again. You think she meant Mom? Sam asked. Lily nodded. But Mom's already gone. So now she wants us. Footsteps creaked in the hallway. Ida entered, face stern and ghost pale. She's broken the first barrier. The salt lines outside have gone black. Sam stared at her. How long do we have? An hour. Maybe less. After that, nothing will keep her out. Lily stood. So we stop waiting. We go to her. Malcolm appeared behind Ida, shaking his head. No. She wants you to come to her. That's part of the ritual. You walk into the woods willingly, and she completes the pact. She needs you to say yes. But what if we go to destroy her instead? Lily asked. What if we bring the violin? Malcolm hesitated. There's a place, Ida said, stepping in. Deeper than the bone circle. Where the queen was first raised. A burial mound. A cradle made of bone and ash. That's where she's strongest, and where she can be sent back. Malcolm turned to the twins. If we go there, it's not just about surviving. You'll have to fight her. With everything. And if you hesitate, she'll eat your soul from the inside out. Lily met Sam's eyes. Then we don't hesitate. The forest was no longer the same. It breathed. Groaned. Twisted. The trees bent inward, forming a grotesque archway as the group passed beneath them, Lily, Sam, Malcolm, and Ida. The deeper they went, the more distorted things became. Animal carcasses hung from branches like ornaments. Bones littered the ground in spirals. And eyes, thousands of glowing red eyes, blinked open in the bark of the trees, watching. She's building her court, Ida muttered. Feeding off the fear. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the trees. High. Shrill. Inhuman. Then it changed. Psalm. Lily, came. A voice, stretched and slurred like wet silk. Children of the pact, come home. Sam froze. That was Mom's voice. No, Ida snapped. It only sounds like her. That's how the queen lures the soul. Do not answer her. They reached a clearing so black it swallowed the moonlight. At the center sat a burial mound, covered in bones and twisted roots. It pulsed faintly, like something inside was alive. The stench of rot and copper filled the air. Malcolm lifted the violin. "We do this now," he said. "Lily, you'll take the lead. The Queen speaks to you more than the rest. She wants you. That gives you power." "I'm not strong enough," Lily said, trembling. "You are," Ida said. "Because you're still afraid. And the afraid ones fight the hardest." Sam handed Lily the pendant. "Keep her voice out of your head. This will remind you who you are." She took a deep breath and stepped forward. As she approached the mound, it cracked open like a yawning mouth. From the pit, the Queen rose. She was fully formed now. A crown of antlers. Skin stretched tight across her bones, black veins pulsing beneath. Her eyes bled darkness, and her hands ended in long, jagged claws. Behind her, dozens of shadow creatures crept from the pit, half-formed things, made of bone, teeth, and smoke. "Daughter," the Queen rasped. "Come kneel. The blood sings for me." "I'm not your daughter," Lily said, voice shaking. The Queen smiled. "But you are. Your mother's vow, your father's sin, your soul is the final thread." Malcolm stepped forward and began to play. The violin sang into the night, high and sharp like screaming birds. The Queen recoiled at first, but then she laughed. "Music," she snarled. "You think that can stop me?" She raised her arm, and the shadows surged forward. Ida flung a pouch of powder into the air, fire erupted in a circle around them. The creatures screeched and pulled back. Sam threw a stone etched with a rune into the pit, and it glowed red-hot, sealing the mouth of the mound. But the Queen lunged, straight at Lily. She grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. Her claws dug into her skin. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide, revealing rows of teeth like needles. Lily's vision blurred. But she remembered. The pendant. Her mother's face. The scream. "You took her," she cried, and with all her strength, she slammed her palm, now slick with blood, into the Queen's chest. The runes Ida had drawn earlier burned into her skin, and as her bloody hand made contact, the Queen shrieked in agony. She dropped Lily, stumbling backward, black smoke pouring from her mouth. Malcolm played faster. The strings of the violin caught fire. "Now!" Ida screamed. "Say the words." Lily turned to the book in her pack, the spell book, and opened to the final page. The symbols there writhed and twisted, but she could see them now. She understood them. She read aloud. Bainagrin Drottning, e.g. Casta are after under mold og martre. Skalt. Dvelja I Reiki, on Nafns, on Lakama, a Ilafu. Queen of Bones, I cast you back beneath soil and nightmare. You shall dwell in dust, without name, without form, forever. The Queen howled, a shriek that split the sky. The earth trembled. The mound collapsed in on itself, and the Queen began to fall, crumbling like ash, screaming, claws scrabbling against the void dragging her down. No. And then, silence. The wind stopped. The sky cleared. The red moon faded back to silver. The forest sighed. The Queen was gone. They didn't speak as they walked back. The violin was burned to ash. Ida's hands were stained black. Malcolm's eyes were hollow. But they were alive. As they stepped out of the tree-line, the homestead looked normal again. The boards were gone from the windows. The air smelled like summer. No eyes in the trees. No bones in the soil. Just home. But Lily knew better. She turned to Sam. "This isn't over." He nodded. "She'll wait. Until someone opens the book again." Ida placed the spellbook into a box carved from rowan wood, locked it with 3 iron latches, and buried it beneath the hearth. "We sealed her," she said. "But she is patient." Malcolm placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "And so must we be." That night, Lily dreamt of the Queen one last time, trapped beneath the earth, screaming without a voice. And somewhere deep in the woods, a single bone sprouted from the soil. Waiting. The summer passed quietly. Too quietly. After the night of the blood moon, the forest returned to its usual hush. The wind whistled through the Douglas firs. The birds sang in the morning. The animals stopped acting like something was watching them. But underneath it all, beneath the buzzing insects and rustling branches, was a silence Lily couldn't ignore. It wasn't peace. It was waiting. The Queen of Bones had been sealed beneath the burial mound, yes. The rune still burned in Lily's memory, and the scar on her palm from where she touched the Queen's chest still ached at night. The box holding the spellbook was buried deep beneath the hearth, sealed with rowan, iron, and Ida's blood. But nothing stays buried forever. On the first day of September, the tree in the far field bled. Lily found it by accident. She had gone out looking for wild blueberries along the fence line and spotted a strange shimmer in the air. A shimmer, like heat waves, but the morning was cold. When she stepped into the clearing, everything went silent. No birdsong. No buzzing flies. The tree stood crooked and black, dead among the green. And from the bark, something thick and dark oozed, slow and steady. She stepped closer. It wasn't sap. It was blood. Sticky, rust-red, and warm. "Sam," she screamed, backing away. "Sam, come quick." He came crashing through the underbrush, breathless. What happened? Then he saw it. The blood had started to spell something on the trunk. The pattern wasn't random. It was forming runes. Old ones. Like the ones in the cellar. Like the ones from the book. Lily swallowed. "It's her." "No," Sam whispered, shaking his head. "We sealed her." "You sealed her." "Did I?" Lily's voice trembled. "Or did we just slow her down?" They returned to the homestead in silence, their shoes slick with dirt and something darker. When Ida heard what they saw, she pulled a worn satchel from beneath the floorboards. "It's happening again," she said grimly. "She's rooting herself back into the land." "How?" Malcolm asked, leaning heavily against the doorway. "The Queen was sealed." Ida looked to Lily. "She marked the girl. The blood you used in the ritual, it tied you to her. It closed the door, but left the key inside your veins." Lily felt cold all over. "You mean? I'm the anchor?" Ida nodded. "Where you walk, the veil thins. You're her soil now." The next sign came the following night. Sam woke to scratching at the window. Not tapping. Not wind. Scratching. Slow. Purposeful. Like nails across wood. He rose from bed and peered out the glass. A figure stood just beyond the fence line. A woman in white. Her face hidden beneath long, matted hair. Her limbs too long, her neck bent at a sickening angle. She didn't move. But she was staring at him. He could feel it. Sam shut the curtain and backed away, heart pounding. When he opened them again, she was gone. 3 days later, Lily found the deer. Or what was left of it. It hung from a tree just beyond the stream. Its eyes were missing. Its ribs had been cracked open like a cage. The heart sat on the ground beneath it, pulsing, still alive. Still beating. Carved into its flank was a rune. Lily ran until she couldn't breathe. "I thought we won," she said that night, staring at the flames in the hearth. "I thought it was over." "You did," Malcolm said. You fought harder than any of us. But evil doesn't die. It roots. It waits. Ida placed a weathered book on the table. A different one. Smaller. Bound in lambskin. I was hoping we wouldn't need this, she said. It's a ledger. Passed down from my grandmother. She was the last to face the Queen before Eleanor. Before you. Lily opened it. Inside were drawings. Notes. Horrors scribbled in trembling ink. One page showed a circle of children holding hands. Their eyes were gone. Their mouths stitched. The caption read. The bone gathering, when the Queen prepares to rise, she summons her lost children. Are there more like us? Sam asked. There were, Ida said quietly. But they're bones now. Buried beneath her. Malcolm stood, pacing. Then what's her goal now? If she's tied to Lily, what's she trying to do? Ida's voice was barely audible. She's trying to be born. The old well behind the barn hadn't been used in decades. It was sealed with rusted iron and boarded over with heavy planks. But on the fourth day, Lily saw footprints in the mud beside it. Small footprints. Bare. Children's. They led to the well. She called for Sam. Together, they pulled back the boards. The well was dry. But on the stone walls, more runes had appeared, scrawled in something black. And far, far down in the darkness, something moved. A whisper floated up from below. Let me in. That night, Lily dreamed again. She stood at the altar, surrounded by children. Hollow-eyed. Skin pale and stretched. They held hands and swayed, whispering the same words over and over. The Queen is bone. The Queen is breath. The Queen is born again through death. Then the Queen stepped forward, taller than the trees, her ribcage open like a door, her spine covered in writhing roots. She reached for Lily and whispered. Soon, child. Soon, your skin will bloom for me. Lily woke screaming, blood trickling from her nose. She's building something, Lily said the next morning. Feeding. Preparing. What can we do? Sam asked, eyes hollow. We burned the violin. The book is sealed. We have nothing left. Ida's eyes met Lily's. You have you. What do you mean? You're the anchor. The Queen grows through you, yes, but that also means you're the only one who can kill her. Truly. Forever. Malcolm stiffened. No. We're not sacrificing my daughter. We're not sacrificing anyone, Ida said. But we may have to risk everything. She pulled a dagger from her satchel. Bone-handled. Dull but heavy. This is carved from the thigh of the first child. Ever taken by the Queen. Dipped in black salt. Blessed in cursed fire. It is the only thing that can pierce her heart. Where is her heart? Sam asked. Ida looked at Lily. She buried it inside the one she's trying to become. Later that night, Lily went to the edge of the forest alone. She didn't tell Sam. Didn't tell Ida. She just needed to know, needed to see if the Queen truly had her roots in her. And when she stepped past the trees, the forest welcomed her like an old friend. The air changed. The silence wrapped around her like a cloak. The ground pulsed beneath her feet. And from the trees, something began to grow. At first it looked like a vine, twisting up from the soil. Then it split open. And inside. Inside was a face. Her own face. Staring back at her. Its eyes opened. Its mouth twitched. And in her own voice, it whispered. I am you. You are mine. Lily fell to her knees, screaming. Roots slithered toward her, brushing her skin like hands. She turned and ran, tears blinding her, breath ragged, heart pounding so hard it nearly burst. But she understood now. The queen wasn't just rising. She was growing. Inside her. Lily hadn't spoken for 2 days. Not since the forest grew her face. She sat on the porch with her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, the late September wind biting her skin, but she didn't care. The forest loomed beyond the fence, still and watchful. It knew what she saw. It wanted her to see it. Sam brought her food, warm bread and thin stew, but she didn't eat it. He didn't push. He just sat beside her, silent, and kept watch. Malcolm worked through the nights again. Sharpening tools, tuning the last violin he'd ever built, whispering prayers in Icelandic under his breath. He was more bone than man now, brittle with worry and regret. And Ida. Ida watched the woods with a shotgun in one hand and the queen's dagger in the other. She hadn't slept either. The shadows under her eyes looked tattooed. The forest was changing. Things were growing that shouldn't. It started with the flowers. White lilies, perfect, unblemished, and glowing faintly. Sprouted from the base of the porch overnight. But when Malcolm bent down to touch one, it screamed. A high-pitched, human scream. He stumbled back, eyes wide. The petals turned red, curling into teeth. The roots writhed. That was when Ida muttered, "She's begun nesting." Nesting? Sam asked, eyes wide. "She's seeding her second self," Ida said. "Through Lily. Through the land. That's how she returns. She doesn't just walk, she blooms." Lily stood suddenly. Her voice was raw. "She's in the house." They stared at her. Lily's eyes were distant. Cold. But tears clung to her lashes. "She's already inside me. I can feel her. When I sleep, she sings through my blood. I can hear her humming in my bones." She turned to Malcolm. "You lied." Malcolm shook his head slowly. "Lily, no. You knew this would happen. You knew the blood moon wasn't the end. You let me seal her with my blood. My soul." "I didn't know," he whispered. "Not until it was too late." Sam grabbed her arm. "So what do we do? Tell us what you saw." "In the woods." Lily's lips trembled. "She's growing another me," she whispered. "In the ground. Made of roots and bone. She's making a new body. A queen body. And when it's ready, she'll take my mind. My soul. She'll walk the world in my skin." That night, the sky turned black. Not night black. Not storm black. It was unnatural. Smothering. Like something enormous was standing just above the treetops, wings spread wide, blocking out the moon and stars. And beneath it, the forest came alive. From the roots beneath the barn, something burst upward. A tree, but wrong. Twisted. Black as oil. Covered in flesh-like bark. Bones embedded in its trunk like fruit. From its branches, things hung. Not animals. Not quite human. Lily stood at the window and watched them sway. She could hear them whispering her name. Over and over. "Lily. Lily. Lily." Sam stepped beside her. "She's harvesting." Lily nodded. "This is her orchard now." Malcolm came running into the room, out of breath. "She's broken the old wards." "What?" Ida snapped. "The runes are fading. The ash is losing power. She's leaching the symbols from our walls. The book is humming. I can feel it." Ida's face went pale. "If she opens it, she'll unlock the final seal." Malcolm turned to Lily. "You need to sever the bond. Now." "How?" she screamed. You keep saying that, but no one tells me what that means. Ida pulled a small wooden box from her satchel and opened it. Inside were 3 items. 1. A bone needle. 2. A dried black flower. 3. A glass vial of something thick and crimson. This is Queen's Bane, she said. An old ritual. Dangerous. You have to find the root heart. The place where her spirit is feeding. You pour the blood on it. You eat the flower. And you stitch your soul closed with the bone. Lily stared in horror. What if I do it wrong? You won't, Ida said. But if I do? Then she devours you from the inside out. And when she's done, she climbs out through your mouth and walks the earth in your name. Silence. Then Lily took the box. They went into the woods just before dawn. The air was thick with rot. Every tree wept black sap. The ground was soft with decay. Lily walked barefoot, guided by instinct, by something buried deep inside her. She's calling you, Malcolm warned. I know, Lily whispered. You don't have to do this alone, Sam said. Lily looked at him. Yes, I do. Sam stepped back, fists clenched, heart breaking. Lily stepped into a clearing. And there it was. The root heart. It throbbed in the earth like a living organ. Black vines slithered in and out of it, pulsing. Faces formed in its bark, then disappeared. At its center was a hole, a mouth, lined with teeth made of finger bones. Lily knelt beside it. She took the vial and poured the blood onto the soil. The root shuddered. Screamed. Smoke curled from its base. She placed the black flower on her tongue and swallowed. Instantly, pain exploded through her chest. Her back arched. Her eyes rolled. She could feel the queen's claws inside her now, raking at her ribs. She took the bone needle. Her hand shook violently. But she drove it into her chest, into her skin, just above the heart. 1 stitch. 2. 3. Each pull of the needle felt like a scream locked in her throat. Blood soaked her dress. Her head swam. The forest howled. Then. A blast of sound. Like wind and fire and bones cracking all at once. The Queen of Bones rose from the root. Her body unfinished. Roots still clinging to her spine. Her face shifting between Lily's and Eleanor's. Her voice came from every tree. You dare. Lily stood, swaying. You don't own me, she whispered. You never did. You were born in my image. No, Lily said. You were born in my fear. The final stitch went in. Her soul closed. And the queen screamed. A scream that shattered branches, boiled soil, and sent birds raining from the sky. The root heart burst into flame. The queen's body cracked like porcelain. Her crown crumbled. Her voice collapsed into static. Then silence. The forest stopped breathing. The black sky cleared. The twisted trees melted into mulch. And Lily fell to her knees. Alive. Free. They carried her home together. Malcolm. Sam. Ida. No one spoke. There were no words. She slept for 3 days. When she woke, the world felt lighter. Like something heavy had been pulled from the air. The air smelled of pine again. The flowers were real. Malcolm burned the book without asking. It screamed as it died. But it died. On the last night of October, Lily sat alone in the woods. She wasn't afraid anymore. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the pendant. Her mother's. She buried it at the edge of the clearing, beneath the first normal tree. Sleep well, she whispered. The wind stirred gently. And somewhere, very deep beneath the soil, something moved. But only to turn over in its grave. Lily awoke in the dark. But it wasn't night. It was something else, something wrong. The air in the room was too still, too thick. Her breath came in short, quick gasps as if the atmosphere had been scooped out of the world and replaced with a dense, invisible fog. She sat up in bed and realized with an icy twist in her gut. Something had come back. Malcolm was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with the violin he'd built months ago, the one he said he'd never sell. It had been carved from black ashwood and strung with silver gut. A deep rune was burned into its body, one Lily now recognized from the spellbook. The rune meant return. "What are you doing?" Lily asked, her voice dry and low. Malcolm didn't look up. "She's not gone. I sealed my soul. I stitched her out. She found another way." His voice cracked like dry wood. "There's always another way with her." Sam burst through the back door, sweat on his brow despite the cold. "You need to see this." Lily didn't ask. They followed him outside to the field. Where there had once been meadow grass, now there were holes. Dozens of them. Wide, deep pits, gnawed into the earth, not dug. They reeked of rotting leaves, sulfur, and something older, something womb-like. They looked like the forest had given birth and then changed its mind halfway through. "Are they burrows?" Ida asked, stepping out from the barn with her rifle. Lily knelt beside one. The soil inside was soft. Wet. There were finger bones near the rim, and one long black hair coiled around a root like a strangled thread. "No," she said quietly. "They're hollows. She's building something again. In secret. Deeper now." Ida leaned in closer. "Listen." They went still. From the hole, deep beneath the surface, a slow thumping noise echoed upward, like a massive heartbeat. And a whisper. Not in English. Not in Icelandic. Just a hiss, Ly. That night, no one slept. Ida set up a perimeter with salt and iron, muttering runes and slicing her own palm to anoint the boundary. Sam stayed inside, sharpening the old hunting knives and gathering candles. Lily sat on the floor of the old root cellar, the place where the spellbook had first been found, running her fingers over the cracked stone walls. She could feel something below. Something moving beneath the foundation of the house, like the land was restless. Or hungry. She looked up. The wooden beams above her head were sweating. With blood. Around 2 a.m., the sky turned the color of bone. No moon. No stars. Just white. Blank. Lily heard the violin before she saw him, Malcolm, sitting in the middle of the porch, playing like he was possessed. His eyes were closed, face streaked with tears, hands moving faster than the eye could follow. "What are you doing?" Lily cried out. "She wants music," he whispered. "It keeps her quiet. Just for a while. That violin is cursed." Malcolm shook his head. "It's the only thing that can speak. Her language." Suddenly, Ida screamed from the tree-line. They ran. She was on her knees, rifle discarded, staring at something half buried in the roots of the nearest tree. A body. No, a shell. It was Lily. But made of wood. Carved from a single, rotting log. Eyes gouged out. Mouth sewn shut. Hair made of moss. A puppet. A husk. Lily's breath caught in her throat. "She's making copies," Ida said, voice shaking. "She's trying to build a host. But imperfect. She needs your soul, Lily. The real thing." Lily turned to Malcolm. "We have to burn them." "All of them," Sam added. Malcolm hesitated. "You burn the bodies, she'll come herself." "Good," Lily said. I'm done hiding. By sunrise, the clearing behind the barn was an inferno. They'd found 6 husks buried in the trees. Each more complete than the last. Each one bearing Lily's face, some smiling, some crying, some with gaping mouths stitched shut with thorns. They dragged them out with ropes and lit the pyre. The screams that echoed from the flames were not human. The ground shook. The wind howled like it was being torn apart. And the soil beneath the fire turned black and cracked, revealing a vast network of roots, arterial, pulsing, that stretched deeper than anyone could see. And then they heard the laughter. High. Cold. Feminine. And familiar. Later that day, a letter arrived. Left on the porch. No footprints. No sound. Just the envelope. Lily picked it up with trembling fingers. It was sealed with wax, the same symbol from the spellbook pressed into it. She opened it. Inside was a single line. You stitched the wrong door shut. She dropped it, heart slamming in her chest. What does it mean? Sam asked. Lily stared at the trees. She's not trying to get in. Everyone went quiet. She's already in. She's trying to get out. That night, Lily returned to the root cellar alone. She brought with her a lantern, the dagger, and the ash-covered violin. She descended slowly, each step feeling heavier, as though the air was turning to stone. When she reached the bottom, she knelt and pressed her ear to the dirt floor. There it was. The heartbeat. And something else. Scratching. From underneath. She whispered, I know what you are now. A long, silent pause. Then. And I know who you are. The voice came from everywhere. Lily reached into her pocket and pulled out the last piece of the flower from Ida's ritual, the one she hadn't swallowed. She buried it in the soil. I'm planting my own curse, she said aloud. One that bleeds you dry. Suddenly, the earth cracked open. A black, gnarled hand burst through the dirt, clawing upward, nails sharp as obsidian, reaching for her throat. Lily stabbed it. Hard. The violin snapped in half behind her. A soundless explosion rocked the cellar, throwing her against the wall. And then. Silence. She came to with dirt in her mouth. She dragged herself upstairs, hands bleeding. Vision blurred. Ida met her at the door. What happened? I cracked her womb, Lily said. But she's still coming, Malcolm said behind her. Lily nodded. She's hollowing the world now. One soul at a time. What does that mean? Sam asked. Lily looked up at the sky. It was no longer white. It was bleeding. The sun never rose. By morning, the sky had turned to a shade of gray that didn't belong to nature, something chalky and lifeless, like a corpse's eye. The world outside the homestead had gone quiet, but it wasn't peace. It was warning. Even the crows had abandoned the trees. Lily, Sam, Malcolm, and Ida stood in the living room, watching the last candle burn itself out. She's breached, Lily said softly. She's walking now. Wearing something, someone. Ida clutched her rifle tighter. If she took form, we can kill her. No, Malcolm whispered. You don't kill the Queen of Bones. You just delay her. Seal her. Trick her. And even then, she waits. Lily shook her head. Not this time. That afternoon, they went to the field. The holes had grown, merged into a single, yawning chasm at the edge of the woods. The land was torn and puckered like an open wound. From the pit, tendrils of pale mist curled upward, humming with distant whispers. Lily stood at the edge and spoke in Icelandic. E.g. Krefst Sannleikans. E.g. be hennar. I demand the truth. I await her. Silence. Then, A figure appeared from the mist. Barefoot. Pale. Wearing a dress stitched from the bark of trees and the skin of animals, and something else. Something human. Her long, black hair moved without wind. Her face. Lily froze. It was their mother. Or what was left of her. Her mouth was wider now. Unstitched. Opened far beyond what bone allowed. Her teeth had multiplied, jagged and yellow, rows of them like a shark. Her eyes were pits of moving worms, endlessly shifting and devouring light. She was no longer a woman. She was a womb of rot. A shell. A gate. Lily, she crooned in a dozen overlapping voices. Daughter of blood, daughter of regret. Sam stepped forward. That's not her. She remembers you, Sam, the Queen rasped. She screamed for you when I took her. She begged for Lily. She begged for me. Lily clenched her fists. Why us? The Queen tilted her head, insect-like. Because you opened the book. Because you bled into the earth. Because you came from my seed. And because, she leaned forward, smiling with too many teeth, you're the last. Ida raised her rifle. Back into the dirt, you rotted bitch. The Queen laughed, a sound like children sobbing underwater. And then the ground exploded. Roots lashed out from the chasm, thick as tree trunks, writhing and cracking like whips. One grabbed Ida by the ankle and yanked her screaming into the air. Ida! Sam shouted. She fired wildly into the tendrils before disappearing into the hole. Lily turned to her father. I know what we have to do, she said. We have to take her back in. Where she came from. Malcolm stared at the chasm. I can go. I should have done it years ago. I brought her here. No, Lily said. She's wearing mother. She'll come for me. Malcolm touched her shoulder. Then we'll go with you. Lily shook her head. I have to go alone. She stepped into the pit. The descent felt endless. The deeper she went, the darker it became, not just visually, but spiritually. Like she was being pulled apart one piece at a time. Her memories, her breath, her name, they thinned in her mind like smoke. When she finally landed, it wasn't on earth. It was on bone. She stood in a cavern of skulls, massive, ancient. Hundreds piled into the walls. Their jaws moved silently as if they were trying to scream, but had long since forgotten how. At the center of the room stood the Queen. She had changed again. Now, her body was all faces. Dozens of them, stitched together, muttering, sobbing, laughing. Some were Lily's. Some were real. Some were trying to be. I have worn you, the Queen said. I have fed on you. But you never invited me inside. You only opened the door halfway. Let me in, Lily. Let me nest. No, Lily whispered. I've brought something else. She held up the shattered violin, its string frayed, its wood split. The Queen recoiled. This violin, Lily said, was carved from ashwood that grew over my mother's grave. It carries her sorrow. The Queen screamed. And Lily played. One note. Two. A sorrowful melody that didn't belong in any world. A tune that tasted like bitter memories and ghostlight. As it played, the faces on the Queen's skin began to sag, melt, weep. They weren't her power. They were her burden. The Queen collapsed to her knees. You mourn, Lily whispered. That's why you hunger. You want to fill the silence. I am the silence, the Queen howled. But her voice cracked. Her form wavered. The skin sagged. And behind her, Lily saw Ida, alive, crawling out of a knot of roots. Bleeding. Shaking. But still breathing. Do it. Ida shouted. Finish it. Lily pulled the dagger from her pocket, the one carved from Mother's bones. The one that had never rusted, never dulled. I'm not your daughter, Lily said. I'm your grave. And she drove the blade straight into the Queen's heart. The explosion was silent. The world turned white. And then. Lily was alone. The cavern gone. The roots dissolved. The air tasted clean again. She stood in the field outside the house. The hole was gone. So was the mist. Just grass now. Green. Bright. Real. A week passed. Ida was recovering slowly, burns, broken ribs, bruises. But alive. Sam helped rebuild the house. The cellar had collapsed completely. Good riddance. Malcolm never spoke much again. He sat under the willow tree most days, staring at the sky with hollow eyes. The violin had been buried. And Lily? She sat by the window every night. Watching the woods. Because she knew. The Queen was gone. But the book was still buried. And the forest never forgets. One night, she heard something again. Far away. Soft. A baby crying in the distance. And behind it. The sound of teeth.